Day 17 of the 27-day mobility challenge here at the Reprogram, 10 days to go. And we are continuing with our upper body focus of these prerequisites, showing you what healthy joint range of motion looks like, healthy passive joint range of motion looks like, so that you can embark on a physical activity training regimen, day-to-day chores with a reasonable degree of safety and minimal injury risk, okay? And as mentioned before, this is really important because it not only minimizes your risk of injury should you move into a position or a compensation pattern that's not wanted, but it also minimizes the degree of damage. It can be the difference between a muscle strain or a complete tear, okay? It is important. So today we are moving on with the posterior capsule test, or we are testing shoulder internal rotation, okay? And as just mentioned, it is a modified version of the posterior capsule test. Any physical therapists out there will know what I'm talking about, but this channel is for the everyman to educate himself and taking back control of his own body, right? If you have really understood what I'm trying to teach you here, it will minimize the need for a physical therapist or a trainer. Obviously, this is the initial mobility assessment part, hence the 27-day mobility challenge, and we will get onto the strength, the conditioning, and the training afterwards. But the reason I started with this mobility challenge is to make sure that you know you're safe to carry on, and that is the purpose of my program at the Reprogram, www.thereprogramonline.com. Check it out, and you'll understand why I'm doing it this way. Okay, my whole thing is to prevent injuries before they happen, not treat them. All right, so going back to the internal rotation of the shoulder, or the posterior capsule, it is really important. Again, as we mentioned yesterday, we did a bit of internal rotation work yesterday, or the day before, where we looked at, the day before, where we looked at extension and internal rotation. It is really important, and the thing is with internal rotation is a lot of people don't know they're missing it until they're forced into a position where they need it, and that's where the injury happens. For example, things like a heavy bench press or a dip, anything where the arm goes back behind them and they need to keep it by their sides, it's not going to happen, all right? So this movement particularly is very important when looking at things like shoulder impingement, rotator-cuff tears, neck pains. Again, we talked about that forward shoulder position before, but particularly this posterior capsule is that it really can inflict a lot of problems when we can't actually get that internal rotation angle. And particularly things like it knocks off the muscular balance, so posterior deltoid function or rear deltoid, however you want to call it, strength and function. Okay, that strength to draw the shoulder back, and that whole strength coming across the upper back line there. It can be common if you I've seen it in boxers where they lack that internal rotation, and then when they throw a jab, it feels like their shoulder's popping out their socket. In fact, sometimes they feel like a click, where it's leaving the body, where it's jumping out of the joint, because they lack that eccentric strength through the post deltoids, the external rotators to keep it centrated. So something to keep in mind, again, there's three main injuries: shoulder impingement, posterior capsule impingement, rotator cuff tears and strains, and neck muscle strains, okay, or general neck pain. All right, so I'll show you what the movement looks like, and here we go. All right, so this is the posterior capsule or shoulder internal rotation test. Now, traditionally, what you get is you go to the physical therapist, you lie on the couch or lie on the bed, and he basically manually lift your arm up and move it through this internal rotation gradient like this, assessing any restrictions or tightness, maybe symptoms of pain, discomfort in the posterior capsule here. Okay. Now, if you aren't into training and you have been trying to mobilize this area for a while, the old school stretch would have been the wall posterior capsule stretch, which kind of looked like this. I'll obviously stay sitting down so I'm in camera view, but if I was standing, I'd lean against the wall like this, and I'd lower my arm, dropping it down, stretching this posterior capsule. The downside about this is that there's a lot of room for error. I have to keep the muscles activated to hold the arm up, right, which negates the effect of relaxing and stretching. So we're going to do one better here at the Reprogram, and we're going to do it on the floor. All right, so you guys can do this at home, and what you're going to do is you are going to start off by having your arm out. So you're going to lie straight, arm out 90 degrees to the body, okay, in this position with the thumb up, right? From here, you are going to roll over, okay, and now what we have done is we effectively trapped this shoulder down. It can't really move around, and then we're going to lift the arm up, so you want to make sure the elbow is the same height as the shoulder, and from here, we are going to basically just lower the hand down to the floor, all right? Ooh. There we go. Okay, so lower the hand down to the floor, nice and flat, fingers on the floor, and you'll feel a nice big stretch coming from the posterior capsule here. Now, that would be a pass. That's what it looks like as a pass, okay? Now, the signs of failure would be this shoulder lifting off the floor. If they're real tight, they'll lower it, and they'll get to about here, and then what they'll do is they'll hitch the shoulder up to get that shoulder down to the floor, and that's when you know you've got an internal rotation tightness, a posterior capsule restriction. Okay, so that's what a fail looks like, all right? There isn't really many other signs because you've locked this joint down, which is why I like it. Unless they roll away to make it easier, you want to make sure that that shoulder is perpendicular to the body, and then that elbow is the same height as the shoulder, keeping the shoulder down, and you're just going to lower, don't go too fast obviously, lower it down to the ground, all right? Particularly when you first do it, most of you will probably find you're about here. All right, so you're missing about 50% internal rotation of the posterior capsule. All right, and again, super important because if you are missing range of motion there, it can super important because if you are missing range of motion there, it can be a massive factor in your vulnerability to, or the reason why you may have shoulder impingement, posterior capsule impingement, rotator-cuff strains and tears, and this neck, this tension, this chronic tension on the neck, because every time you actually go to use the shoulder in this internal rotation way, maybe you try and lift a bag off the ground. So you can see why if you don't have that internal rotation, it's going to go straight to the neck, all right? That is the posterior capsule shoulder internal rotation test. Okay, thanks a lot for listening. If you like what you're hearing and you like what I do and you want to find out more, check us out at www.thereprogramonline.com. We'll see you tomorrow. Check this out. Hi there, I'm Andrew Graham, founder of The Reprogram Online, and if you're here, it's likely because you are feeling the frustration of a body that just isn't performing the way it used to. Maybe it's a nagging joint pain, the frequent injuries, or the simple truth that despite all your efforts, you're not seeing the results you desire. As a busy professional, I understand how valuable your time is. You want a body that not only performs well, but one that you can enjoy and that you know is capable of handling whatever life throws your way. Yet, finding the right path in today's fitness industry is like navigating an untamed jungle of misinformation, quick fixes, and empty promises, often leaving you frustrated or worse. That's why I created the Reprogram, a comprehensive training system designed to not only build a strong athletic physique, but to do it in a way that prioritizes injury prevention, joint health, and longevity. By merging concepts from physical therapy and strength and conditioning, the Reprogram targets and alleviates the very issues that are keeping you from moving forward. Starting with our free mobility assessment, we will identify these issues, as well as your potential risk of injury, and design your training program based on your results. You see, many people think they need more, but often what they really need is better. It's not about lifting the heaviest weight or doing endless reps. It's about focusing on what truly matters so that you can build a body that's not only aesthetic, but resilient. A body that works with you, not against you. The Reprogram is built for men who understand that their body is their most valuable asset and who refuse to let joint pain and past injury dictate their future. Using the 3-stage training system, you'll regain your mobility, correct muscle imbalances, and improve your posture, all with minimal equipment. I mean, imagine a life where you're not just managing pain, but actually eliminating it and getting stronger every day. Believe me, I understand the frustration of trying to stay active when your body seems to resist every step. But with the right approach, that frustration can quickly turn into fuel for change. The Reprogram is designed to respect your time and deliver results in a way that actually teaches you about your body. So, are you ready to break the cycle and unlock your potential? Then I invite you to start your journey today. Remember, this is about you, investing in your future, your health, your quality of life. Click the Get Started button to begin your free mobility assessment. I'm Andrew Graham, and I'm here to help you banish pain, optimize mobility, and unleash strength one step at a time. Let's get started.